Joran van der Sloot confessed to killing Natalee Holloway. Dutchman Joran van der Sloot confessed to murdering Natalee Holloway in Aruba in 2005. "I always lied to the police," said Dutchman Joran van der Sloot from prison in Chapalca, Peru. Sentenced to 28 years in prison for murdering Peruvian Stephanie Flores in June 2010. Van der Sloot recently confessed that he did in fact murder Natalee Holloway in Aruba in 2005. Van der Sloot was side by side his wife, Lydie Figueroa, when he confessed to an operative of Radar and the Inquirer with a hidden camera on Feb. 1, 2016, at the Chapalca prison, known as the Alcatraz of the Andes. Van der Sloot confessed to the murder of Holloway, saying, "I never told the truth. I made up so many stories against the police. Also when I was younger, I never told everything." Quote, the Dutchman was arrested on June 9, 2005, and was released on September 3, 2005, when investigators came short of evidence to convict him. He later traveled to Peru, where he was eventually convicted for the murder of Stephanie Flores in 2010. He met Holloway when she was only 18 years old in a bar in Aruba in May 2005. Regarding the case, he said, "I think that was one of the worst police investigations that ever took place." Quote, "Yes, this is also where I am guilty and I accept everything that I have done." Quote, President Humala signed the agreement to eliminate the Schengen visa. President Humala signed the elimination of the Schengen visa agreement alongside European Union officials. Starting tomorrow, March 15, Peruvians can travel visa-free to the 26 countries of the European Union to stay up to 90 days, said Foreign Minister Ana Maria Sanchez de Rios, according to Peru 21. She announced this moments after President Humala signed the agreement with the European Union to eliminate the Schengen visa for Peruvians. Their signatures on this agreement now makes it possible for Peruvians to travel visa-free to the region for short stays, starting tomorrow. At a special ceremony in Belgium, the Peruvian president sealed the deal today alongside European Union officials. After years of anticipation and planning, today, an important step is taken, which doesn't refer only to trade, but for friendship that allows the facilitation for nationals and Europeans to travel and to exchange experiences, said President Humala, according to Peru 21. Peruvians can travel to these Schengen region countries visa-free: Germany, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Estonia, Finland, France, Sweden, Czech Republic, Hungary, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal and Greece, and 4 non-community regions countries, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. The Foreign Ministry said the agreement also includes Bulgaria, Cyprus, Croatia and Romania. Arequipa. Parents find pre-Inca mummy on school's rooftop. Parents found a pre-Inca mummy on the roof in Arequipa school on Monday. What might be the worst nightmare for children afraid of creepy attics and rooftops has become a reality in an Arequipa school. While checking for rain damage on a school's rooftop, parents of children at Independencia Americana School in Arequipa found a large box with an object inside, covered with layers of blankets. Upon discovering bones within the cloths, they immediately called the police. It was a human body. Police from the Palacio Viejo station, Arequipa, arrived at the school and realized it was indeed a human in a fetal position covered by cloths. They called in an investigator, anthropologists and forensic experts to confirm the findings. According to initial observations, they believe the mummy to be pre-Inca, but no further information has been revealed. After the Regional Directorate of Culture arrived at the scene, they placed the mummy in a safe and took it to their headquarters to be studied. Alfredo Barnechea jumps into second place, says Vox Populi survey. 19% of the Vox Populi respondents are still undecided for Peru's 2016 presidential elections. In the second round of the general elections, Popular Action presidential candidate Alfredo Barnechea would defeat Keiko Fujimori of Popular Strength, according to La Repubblica. This observation was announced just after the latest Vox Populi survey was published by the news agency. Alfredo Barnechea has taken second place in the preferences with 12%. And Keiko Fujimori continues leading with 33%, according to their survey. Following after Barnechea is Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, PPK, but Peruvians for Change with 10%. Veronica Mendoza in fourth place with 8%. And in fifth place is former President Alan Garcia with 6%. Finally, 19% of the respondents in the Vox Populi survey are undecided. The survey also informs that in the case of a second round between Keiko Fujimori and Alfredo Barnechea, the latter would win with 45% of the vote to Fujimori, who would gain 39%. On the other hand, in the case of a second round including PPK and Fujimori, PPK would win with 38% of the vote and Fujimori would reach only 36%. Peru Electoral Board confirms exclusion of Julio Guzmán and César Acuña. The National Elections Board (JNE) confirms the exclusion of the two candidates from the presidential campaign. Last week, the National Elections Board (JNE) announced the exclusion of candidates Julio Guzmán and César Acuña from the 2016 presidential elections. Both candidates filed appeals to the board following the JNE's decision in order to argue for their places in the campaign. After the JNE heard the parties' arguments, the Elections Board decided to officially exclude parties Alliance for Progress (AP) of César Acuña and Everyone for Peru (TPP) of Julio Guzmán. The National Jury of Elections (JNE) refused Guzmán's candidacy when they declared his party's inscription inadmissible for failing to follow party procedures in an internal assembly. As for Acuña, the JNE rejected presidential candidate Acuña's appeal as they found him guilty of violating the law on political parties for buying votes from Chosica residents. These exclusions are a major adjustment in the 2016 presidential campaign. Guzmán and Acuña had reached top positions in the polls in previous months. The next in line after Keiko Fujimori would include Pedro Pablo Kuczynski of Peruvians for Change, Alfredo Barnechea of Popular Action, former President Alan Garcia of Popular Alliance, and Veronica Mendoza. Peruvian citizens go to the polls to vote for their next president on April 10. Less than a month away, Chicago brewery launches pre-Incan Wari Beer based off ancient recipe. Off-color brewing from Chicago teamed up with archaeologists to recreate the ancient Peruvian brew. It's highly unlikely that ancient brewmasters in Peru from the largest discovered pre-Inca brewery in the Americas could have imagined that centuries later their recipes would be recreated and distributed in foreign territories. But it happened. Archaeologists and the Chicago-based brewery Off-Color Brewing band together to recreate a beer recipe discovered from a Wari Empire palace complex. The evidence dates back to between 680 and 1000 AD. Wari Chicha-inspired ale was the end product. Members from the Department of Anthropology at the Field Museum of Natural History found the beer, called Chicha de Mal, on a dig in southern Peru, at a site called Cerro Ball. The mal berries, or American, Peruvian peppercorn, and purple corn remains were found in high numbers. According to the drinks business website, the beer was generally drunk ceremonially from special pitchers called kiro, which were ritually smashed after the beer had been drunk from it. The Chicago brewery launched the beer earlier this month. Find it on sale at the Field's Museums. Keiko Fujimori. Electoral Board calls for further investigation of alleged gift-giving. Peru's Special Electoral Board has requested that the National Jury of Elections extend an investigation into accusations of gift-giving. The Special Electoral Board (G) called on the National Jury of Elections (JNE) to extend the investigation into alleged gift-giving by presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori, after César Acuña and Julio Guzmán were excluded from elections last week. A Peruvian citizen filed a complaint against the candidate for gift-giving, but the investigation was archived last week. The G has requested that the Department of Prosecuting at the JNE extend this investigation into popular strength presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori. The G wants the JNE to re-evaluate Report and Agree 010-2016 LMSBR DFNP JNE, which had concluded that there was no evidence to accuse daughter of human rights abuser Alfredo Fujimori. She would be investigated for violating Article No. 42 of the Law on Political Organizations, which prohibits the delivery of gift-giving, either directly or indirectly, during the electoral campaign. The G announced their request to extend the investigation just days after thousands of Lima residents protested for the exclusion of Keiko Fujimori from the elections. Al Jazeera English covered the protest and provides background on Fujimori's rising pressures. Al Jazeera English covers anti-Keiko protest in Lima on Friday. New York-based magazine features Peru as one of 2016's cheapest countries for travel. Travel Plus Leisure magazine informed that Argentina tops their list of cheapest countries to visit. Do you have less change in your pocket this year but have the travel bug? Travel and Leisure magazine, based in New York City, published a list of cities for the strict budget traveler. They compiled a list of 15 destinations where it is cheaper to travel than it was in 2015, and it includes Peru. Peru is ranked 13th on the list, as this year travelers could save 11.43% on visiting Peru than if they had traveled in 2015. Topping the list of countries with cheaper prices this year than in 2015 is Argentina. According to Travel and Leisure magazine, it is 39.7% cheaper to travel to Argentina this year than it was last year. Brazil follows in second place. but they emphasize that prices will increase in the Olympic season in August. In third place is South Africa, then Colombia and Uruguay. Other countries include Russia, Mexico, Turkey, Malaysia, Chile, New Zealand, Norway, Canada and Australia. Within Peru, Travel and Leisure suggests visiting Cusco and Lima to take advantage of the booming Peruvian cuisine. Forbes features the women behind Peru's Macchu Pisco brand. Forbes magazine spoke with Lizzie Asher, president of Macchu Pisco LLC, in honor of Women's History Month. Forbes magazine got an inside look to a series of female mixologists from around the world. Included in their list of talented mixing women is Peruvian Lizzie Asher, president of Macchu Pisco LLC. Lizzie tells Forbes the story of a family endeavor, inspiration and how to pay it forward by helping other women in the industry. Lizzie and her sister Melanie embarked on their Pisco adventure after both having experienced life at Harvard Business School and Wall Street. Melanie had already began working together with their father in the project. When Dad passed away, I quit my work at a law firm to join the startup, and jointly we have grown this company together for the last 6 years, said Lizzie. As women in an industry full of men, Lizzie and her sister have taken part in helping women working in mixology. They are involved in LUPEC, Ladies United for the Preservation of Endangered Cocktails, and in Peru, they work with a co-op of women farmers. Quote, at the co-op they help women and children in the Ica region, where they produce their pisco, by recruiting women for jobs. February was shockingly hot, breaking global temperature records. Climate investigators claim the temperatures last month are unprecedented and shocking. NASA data reveals that the month of February this year has broken global temperature records of the last century out of the water. Words like stunning, shocking, and unprecedented are being repeated by scientists all over the world. They are also calling it a climate emergency. To put it into perspective, the data shows that the average global surface temperature last month was 1.35 C warmer than the average temperature for February between 1951 to 1980. Jeff Masters and Bob Henson analyzed the data and said, this result is a true shocker, and yet another reminder of the incessant long-term rise in global temperature resulting from human-produced greenhouse gases. Quote, we are hurtling at a frightening pace toward the globally agreed maximum of 2 C warming over pre-industrial levels, said the analysts on the Weather Underground website. They are referring to the agreement made by world leaders at the UN Climate Summit in Paris a few months ago. They established that 2 C was the limit they would strive to maintain. One of the many repercussions stemming from the rise in temperature is the rise in the rate of melting of Peru's tropical glaciers. At the moment, the glaciers are experiencing the most rapid depletion recorded in the last 3 centuries.